My experience with GBS was with my 19-year-old daughter. She was a normal 19-year-old and started to get some really weird little things going on with her that nobody could really figure out. The first symptoms were my hands feel like they're sometimes cold, my fingers, and sometimes they're warm. I'm thinking that was probably tingling, but that was her description of it, was hot and cold. One night she woke up in the middle of the night with an itchy tongue. And I'm like, an itchy tongue? Okay, well, it sounds like you're allergic to something, give her Benadryl. And then weakness in their legs going up and down the stairs, 2-footing every step. It's kind of like, oh. But they were very faint. So the time it took from when I noticed symptoms till the time that she was diagnosed was probably around 3 weeks. Yeah, 3 weeks of kind of going to the hospital, to the doctor, and the hospital sending us away saying that, she's got anxiety, or there was a lot of different things so she was getting kind of tired of going. I remember being at the doctor's one day and just getting her checked out, and as we were walking out the door, she fell. People were kind of like, oh, something's really wrong. And we ended up going home. We went to the Emerge, and the Emerge, it was out the door, and she says, I'm not going. So took her home, and then we rushed her in that night. One great doctor, he just said, I think her diagnosis, I think she's got something called Guillain-Barré syndrome. Me and my husband were just kind of shocked, but it was a couple hours, and it was one doctor that kind of had seen it before. A lot of the other ones hadn't. Well, they started her off with an IVIG. That hospital was not really well equipped for it, so they transferred us to a bigger hospital. It didn't really slow anything down. She progressed. She got worse within 2 days. The paralysis in my daughter started like from her head to her feet. Her whole body was paralyzed. Her respiratory system, everything was pretty much shut down. A lot of the doctors and medical professionals, they didn't really know a lot about it. But yeah, it was kind of horrific, especially when they tell you your daughter's going to go on a ventilator because she can no longer breathe on her own. When my daughter was in the hospital for about 7 months, me and my husband were there every day. And thank goodness, because I don't think our healthcare system is equipped to be with somebody 24/7. Yeah, I don't know how, when I look back now, how we got through something like that. You just do it, right? You just take care of it. When I left her there every day, I was always wondering, is somebody looking after her? I knew my husband would be there at some point, but there was a few hours between that she would be on her own. When she was in intensive care, she had her own nurse, but after they moved her to like a step down, I was always concerned that I wasn't there to watch. Is she okay? Are they turning her? Are her legs, because her feet used to be so sore, and are they addressing those? And she couldn't talk, right? So that's why we made sure that we were always there. I think the hardest part about being a caregiver is you don't really take time to look after yourself. I was exhausted most of the time. I slept well because I was so tired, and I never was a good sleeper. I didn't really have much of my own life. I pretty much devoted it to her, until she could be a little bit more on her own. When she went into rehab, she didn't want to go. She wanted to sign herself out, and I said, well, no, if you won't get physio every day. So we made a plan that she went to physio, I picked her up, I bring her home for the day, and I take her back at night so she sleeps there. The hospital was about a 45-minute drive from home, and we did that every day so that she would stay. Watching my daughter take her first steps was truly amazing. I remember her trying to stand and hold her arms up, to hold the legs up, and everything was shaking, and oh my God, it was amazing. And I remember they had music playing, it was Let It Be. I was like, oh my God, I was just like, holy, yeah. And then just to see the joy in her face that she's like, oh, I can do this. But seeing her work so hard, I remember one doctor saying to me, she's gonna be okay for about the first week, and then she is not going to be happy, realizing all the things she can't do anymore. So we have a multi-level home. So she lived on the first floor. We had a hospital bed, a commode. She realized she couldn't go up the stairs. She couldn't get to her room. She couldn't go in the shower. She would get mad, and we would fight, and she would have to try and run away from me and wheel herself into a corner somewhere, and she couldn't get away from me, and I couldn't get away from her. So she was pretty depressed. Hospitals don't provide, or maybe can't, emotional support and mental health support for after. She needed some type of help after, psychologist or whatever, to get her through what she had just been through. And there was really no support aftercare. The advice I would give to caregivers, and I've heard it from a few people saying that, like, don't search the internet. Well, I did, and I found the foundation. I met Donna. Donna was my lifesaver, because every time I had an issue, I would call her, like, crying, and she would always take the time to talk to me and to meet the foundation and to be part of it, so that maybe I can, help out. My daughter's she was 19, she's 25 now, but she kind of wants to leave that behind her. So as a caregiver, I'm hoping that I can help somebody. Any of these things that happen are not in your control, so don't try to control them. Everything will be okay.